According to the Australian Institute research, fossil fuel subsidies cost Australians a staggering $11.6 billion in 2021 and 2022, an increase of $1.3 billion in the last year. When I interviewed Greens candidate Steph Hodgins-May, she quoted that the government subsidises $10,000 per minute. Well, according to the Australian Institute's research, it's actually a whopping $22,139 per minute, twice what the Greens candidate Steph had estimated. The total value of future fossil fuel subsidies already committed in federal, state, and territory budgets is a whopping $55.3 billion, while the $11.6 billion is 56 times the budget of the National Recovery and Resilience Agency. That's the agency that helps those affected by natural disasters, including droughts, bushfires, and floods. The disasters that the fossil fuel industry makes more extreme. Research Director Rod Campbell perfectly stated, "It is perverse that the Australian governments continue to subsidise fossil fuel production and consumption while communities across the country are bearing the costs of disasters exacerbated by fossil fuel use." He furthers that this is just bad economics and simply embarrassing climate policy. We are witnessing Australia's flood-stricken communities trying to rebuild themselves, and ScoMo was only willing to hand out a stingy $1,000 one-off payment to these victims. Barely enough to afford a fridge, dishwasher, and a half-decent mattress. While these billion-dollar fossil fuel industries are cashing in the tune of $22,000 a minute. These ginormous increases in subsidies aren't actually even hidden. They are central government policies such as the gas-fired recovery. I'll give you an even more detailed breakdown of exactly where this $11.6 billion is going. Some examples of federal money alone. Building the Kurri Kurri gas-fired power station, $200 million. If you think that's a lot, the government is spending a further $600 million building this government-owned gas station. In the middle of a climate crisis, it's the equivalent of asking Australians to jump onto a sinking ship with no safety raft. At the very same day as the International Energy Agency advised, there can be no new gas, coal, or oil projects if the world is to achieve net zero by 2050. As the Climate Council says, gas is both expensive and unnecessary. Concessional finance for the Olive Downs coal mine, $175 million. The Olive Downs mine will be the third largest coal mine in the state of Queensland, and it's going to build on the Isaac River floodplain, where it plans to leave 3 huge coal pits. These huge coal pits would permanently draw groundwater into them, reduce river water, permanently alter the floodplain, and change flood velocity. And all this was signed off by Labor Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk. Road construction for fracking in the Northern Territory, $173 million. Yes, that's right. Construction of roads for fracking stations. Almost $200 million on building roads to frack and destroy the land. Oh, and for Northern Territory state subsidies, you can add an extra $3.9 billion for gas and coal. $3.9 billion. Yeah, there's a really good reason why First Nations people are pissed off in the Northern Territory. Finally, for the last federal government subsidies example, we have the capital investment in Hunter Valley Coal Railway Network, $161 million. $161 million on a freaking coal railway network to carry around climate-destroying coal to 23 new coal projects in New South Wales, with total production capacity equivalent of 15 Adani-sized coal mines. Like the New South Wales government hasn't been corrupt already, it wants to beat Queensland in destroying the environment. As Rod Campbell says, it's long past time for these irresponsible budget measures to be reversed and these resources directed to combating climate change and preparing Australians for its consequences. In the coming election, don't vote either Labor or Liberal, who are both giving more money to climate-destroying billion-dollar companies than they do for schools and children's education. Vote for political parties who won't give subsidies to fossil fuel industries. And have your vote make a difference with preferential voting in the lower house. The Indigenous Aboriginal Party with their traditional care for country. The Fusion Party, which involves the Science Party, Secular Party, and the Climate Emergency Party. The Animal Justice Party. And, of course, the Greens, who always have a strong stance for renewables. Now, don't just like this video and then go back to your day. Share it so that other people can understand how shit this government is at looking after the climate. And subscribe to this channel to be notified for all the next videos coming out before the election.